Now, I would like to pass the floor to Wendy to moderate the policy plenary. And I'd like to tell you that during the last years, Wendy, as the policy officer of Connect, has supported both the Connect project, but also the Blue Growth, Black Sea Blue Growth initiative. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank her for all her efforts. And also she's working very hard initiative with the partnership, and I believe she has just finished one meeting and switched to this one, and I thank her for making time. And Wendy, the floor is yours.
Dear Barish, thank you very much for this nice introduction. It's a pleasure to be with you again. But since you said that I was helping you last years, I mean, that's true, but there were also some predecessors, let's say. So Sigi will be talking later, but I would also just like to mention Ana Teresa Caetano and Daniel Strugariu, who are actually have contributed very significantly to where we are today as well. So, but dear rector from the Middle East Technical University, dear Black Sea SRA working group members that may also be attending, dear coordinators of the boat projects and scientists from Doors and Bridge Black Sea projects and other participants. First of all, I would like to congratulate the coordinators and all the scientists and involved participants of both projects, Doors and Bridge BS, on behalf of European Commission, but including also our head of unit, Elisabetta Balzi, who could not make it today. I would sincerely like to congratulate you, since you made it through a competitive, let's say, call from the Commission, and it was a close competition with other proposals in the ranking. So you've done a great job already so far. What I would absolutely like you to realize for these projects is how unique and how united you will be working, or you can be working in these two projects. It's really a special opportunity for the Black Sea to concentrate this scientific excellence and expertise to work exclusively on different Black Sea scientific challenges for many years. So you're not part of another big European project, you have your own big two Black Sea dedicated projects now. And these consortia, they include scientists and experts from all riparian countries around the Black Sea and the Republic of Moldova, as well as 10 other European countries. So you will also be assistant and can exchange with the expertise and the developments that you will make then together with these scientists represented in your Black Sea projects. So I think that you are privileged to work together in a setting that is unique, at least for the moment, with the current tools in the landscape of research and innovation funding. Because the Black Sea targeted call that was included in the last Horizon 2020 work program is also a confirmation of the support of the European Commission to the further development and implementation of the Black Sea Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda, as already explained slightly by Barish. With a significant budget of 18 million euro for both these successfully selected projects. What also is important to realize on the fact that you're now unique and united to work on the Black Sea is that probably many eyes will also be focused on you. Not only from a scientific point of view, because you will indeed realize hopefully many deliverables and publications and all deliverables that are useful to contribute to policy, but also from a funding and cooperation perspective. If you are really successfully working together, then your ministries and funding agencies can also be inspired and motivated to organize more of the same in the future. And some of these important roots for this work, they go back to the achievements during the Bulgarian and Romanian presidency of the Council of the EU, but that will be further explained by Sigi later in her keynote talk. And the broader umbrella of this context is the Black Sea synergy. So that is a fluent cooperation between the European External Action Service and different Directorate Generals from the European Commission. And that will be explained a little bit more to you by Linguiton from the Eastern Partnership Regional Coordination of the European External Action Service. And after this intervention, Patrizia Bosolini from the Director General for Maritime Affairs and Fisheries will clarify the Black Sea Common Maritime Agenda and the recent communication on sustainable blue economy. So we basically go now in the next interventions from the broader context to the more specific developments of the SRA, explained by 3 subsequent speakers. So I'm delighted to give the word to Linguiton from the European External Action Service.
Many thanks, Wendy. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can.
So many thanks for your words of introduction. And indeed, it's a great pleasure to be here to take part to this kickoff event today. It's of course a challenge for me to speak in front of such a broad audience of distinguished experts of the Black Sea. And I will try to give a rather broad perspective on how we frame this cooperation from the EU, European External Action Service, where I work. Indeed, I'm policy coordinator in the EAS, European External Action Service, in the division in charge of regional cooperation in the EU Eastern Neighborhood. And I would just like to say a few words of introduction to frame the EU approach for the Black Sea region. But let me take a very broad perspective to start with and remind that as EU HRVP, High Representative and Vice President of the European Commission, Josep Borrell often stresses, the EU is a multilateral project by essence, and we strongly believe that global challenges, especially complex ones, can only be tackled by working together. Of course, you could say this is pretty obvious, but in the world we observe today, it seems that such a statement is less and less obvious. And that's precisely why we believe that the Black Sea regional cooperation is a perfect example and a very concrete one. And what we will be talking about today are something extremely concrete, which is putting flesh on such a broad statement. And indeed, in that context, the Black Sea Synergy is the main EU main policy framework dedicated to the Black Sea regional cooperation. It's a flexible and pragmatic approach, which is even more critical in the days we are living today, especially in the pandemic and COVID context. The recovery, resilience, and support to sustainable blue economy, including marine research and innovation, are of course at the core of the Black Sea Synergy. Basically, the Black Sea Synergy is based on 3 pillars. The first one is roughly 10 sectoral and thematic fields of cooperation, including research and innovation. And I will not go into details, but it's basically about sectoral and thematic cooperation. Second, because the Black Sea Synergy is not an isolated policy, it is linked with a number of other EU policies or strategies which also have relevance for the Black Sea, but not only. I could quote, for instance, the EU Maritime Security Strategy. And also because the EU is not isolated, and because as I just said, we are promoting multilateralism as much as we can, the Black Sea Synergy is also based on cooperation with regional and international organizations active in the Black Sea, and pretty much all of them. Of course, the Black Sea Synergy dates back from before the pandemic, but it's obvious that the pandemic exposed the fragility of our economic system and the need for more resilient environments. Where in the EU, we like to say that we are trying to build back better. That's one of our nice slogans. We have many of those. But indeed, we should ensure greater resilience to crisis when we build back. And the Black Sea region must rise to this challenge. The EU is determined to make our green recovery, led by the European Green Deal, our growth strategy. And we aim to achieve a fundamental economic and social transition to be modern, resource efficient, and competitive at the same time, which is, of course, trying to hit several birds with one stone, but we are doing our best. The EU is firm in supporting the activities related to seas and coasts, the blue dimension of its Green Deal, as we say, and as reflected by our recently adopted policy on sustainable blue economy, that my colleagues will come back to details on that. The Black Sea Regional Cooperation, supported by the EU, is already contributing to the development of blue economy with the two milestones common agendas, the Common Maritime Agenda and the Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda for the Black Sea. And we will talk a lot about that today. This is a result of constant work for several years now, since 2017, of the dedicated Black Sea scientist community. And we also congratulate our very thankful to the littoral countries for their dedication and proactive approach in implementing these agendas, despite the harsh pandemic context. Let me also stress that also in a broader perspective, the EU is closely considering the security challenges of the Black Sea, and we strictly observe our well-known position on it. The EU remains determined to uphold the principle of the rule of law, democracy, respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms. International law and norms, including respect for inviolability of borders and territorial integrity, must be respected. Before I conclude, let me just say a quick word on communication. We are talking about quite sophisticated, detailed, technical and scientific projects today, but this must be also put into perspective of our objective of communicating that to the EU citizens and to the citizens in the Black Sea area. So let me encourage you and all stakeholders to focus on the communication aspects of your work and to make it better known and closer to the citizens, and to keep that in mind over the coming, over the whole lifespan of the project. So in order to conclude, I would like to reaffirm the commitment of the EU and the European External Action Service in particular to support the developing of regional cooperation in the Black Sea area to work together in addressing common challenges. Many thanks.
Thanks a lot, Jocelyn. That was very comprehensive and clarifying, hopefully, to the entire audience. Because also when I first got to know about the Black Sea Synergy, I actually had big respect for what you all try to achieve with a common effort between member states and several services from the Commission. So our next speaker is Patrizia Busolini from DG Mare, in short. Are you there, Patricia, and ready to take up?
Yes, I'm here. Good morning. Can you see me?
Yes.
Can you see me?
Everything fine.
Thank you very much. To all the participants, I would like to thank you, first of all, the rector of METU for the invitation as lead partner of the Bridge BS project. And also, I would like to thank the invitation to present the Common Maritime Agenda also on behalf of the Common Maritime Agenda 2021 Turkish coordination. Indeed, developing the concrete links and complementarities between the Common Maritime Agenda and these projects, so the Black Sea Connect, Bridge, doors, it's a key aspect to support the implementation, to upscale these complementarities, to promote mutual benefit, and also to facilitate cross-fertilization effect that finally can have concrete impact on the territories of the Black Sea, and from which the Black Sea stakeholder can concretely benefit from. And to this link to this, I profit also to mention and to thank the coordinators of Bridge, Black Sea and the Black Sea Connect project, Barish Saninoglu and Mustafa Yüksel. Apologies for the pronunciations. Indeed, they are also involved as national hubs of the Common Maritime Agenda for Turkey. So they are very much supporting the national stakeholder and implementing the Common Maritime Agenda both on national level and also in the identification of regional, national and regional projects, and they are supporting also the national Turkish national coordination. So their role and their participation to this different project is very much helpful to make these links something concrete. Indeed, this is, as I mentioned already, an important aspect that I would like to arrive later on. First of all, I would also like to say some more words about the importance blue economy for the green transition and for the recovery process. And I would like to do that by giving you some figures, very, very concrete figures. According to the Blue Economy Report 2021, it is estimated that the established blue economy sectors in EU, they employ directly 4.5 million persons, and they generate an amount of 650 billion in terms of turnover. Other very important data is, for example, that 71% of the Earth's surface is covered by oceans. I'm sure that you already know that. 40% of the European population live in coastal areas. The ocean holds 80% of all the life forms, and we could continue with many other data, but all this data, all these numbers really highlight how the blue economy represents really a crucial sector, not only in Europe. I gave you some of the numbers will refer to Europe, but these adapted numbers are valuable also for the Black Sea, where blue economy, it is a crucial economic sector for prosperity and employment. While in Europe, in the Black Sea and worldwide, the challenge is to ensure that marine resources are utilized in a sustainable way. This concept has already been touched base by the previous speakers. Now, how the Commission is planned to tackle this challenge? There are opportunities, but it's also a challenge. The Commission has recently approved a new communication in May. It was endorsed in May. It's a communication on a new approach for a sustainable blue economy. And in this communication, it is highlighted how the transformation of blue economy into a more sustainable path will be achieved, will be done by achieving dual challenge of the Green Deal. That is the Green Deal and the post-pandemic recovery process. In this framework, the blue economy as a pillar role to play along the axis of decarbonization, zero pollution, circularity, biodiversity, and climate adaptation. I'm not going now to go more in details of this communication that is available, and we will share the link. What it is important to highlight here is that we really hope, and this is what we are trying to promote also through the Common Maritime Agenda, that this communication can be also an important reference also for the Black Sea stakeholders and for the sustainable development of the blue economy in this area and the recovery process. The blue economy, as we mentioned, it is a key sector for the Black Sea, and the 6 coastal countries of the Black Sea, so Bulgaria, Georgia, Romania, Russia, and Turkey, and Ukraine, together with the Republic of Moldova in May 2019, endorsed by Bucharest Ministerial Declaration a new regional cooperation framework, which is called the Common Maritime Agenda for the Black Sea. And the overarching aim is to support regional cooperation for a more sustainable blue economy in the area. Of course, as it has already been mentioned by Baris, by Director, and by Wendy, the Common Maritime Agenda has been developed hand in hand with the development of the SRIA, the Research and Innovation Agenda for the Black Sea, because of course the two goals, they go together. They are one. They develop complementary aspects. In particular, the Common Maritime Agenda focuses 3 goals. One is related to healthy marine ecosystem. The second on innovative blue economy, and this is where is the direct link with SRIA, with DOORS project, with Black Sea Connect, with Bridge project. And then also on the part related to blue economy investments, on how we finance the implementation of project. Of course, these generic goals are further developed into specific priorities and then into actions. Now we have this very important and detailed framework that, as for the SRIA, it has been developed in cooperation with the Black Sea stakeholders through a process, a bottom-up process that took 3 to 3 years. And now the Common Maritime Agenda, since the beginning of last year, has launched its concrete implementation. As you can imagine, it has not been an easy start, because we started exactly when the pandemic obliged us to work online. But I must say that we are all very pleased to see all the countries kept the commitment. We kept on working on priorities, and indeed the countries, they have identified three priority sectors, being coastal and maritime tourism, maritime transports, and fisheries and aquaculture. Of course, these are sectors that have been identified because they have been considered as those that has very badly suffered from, and which is still keep being the case, have suffered the pandemic. So the idea is that through the Common Maritime Agenda, we find initiatives and projects that can support further, both at national but also at regional level, the process, the recovery process. Now, in all this framework, since the launch of the Common Maritime Agenda, in the past 6 months, I must say that the concrete cooperation with the SRIA, with the Black Sea Connect, has become more and more concrete, and I can make you a very concrete example for on a recent events that have been organized in May in strict cooperation between the Common Maritime Agenda and the Black Sea Connect on blue economy entrepreneurship supported by research and innovation. This was very concrete, this was very successful, and in fact, it was, of course, under the coordination of the Turkish CMA coordination of this year. And we are about to prepare a follow-up meeting again with the stakeholders in cooperation. This time also not only with the Black Sea Connect, but also with Bridge Project, with DOOR Project. So this is how the Common Maritime Agenda tries to really to create these links, this cooperation, concrete cooperation among actors, among projects, because we need to build on synergies and to identify initiatives and concrete projects together with the stakeholders that can really bring on the table concrete results, concrete activities, as your project, Bridge Project, will be doing. And this is very much important also in terms of financing, because we say in the Black Sea there are quite some financial channels that can be the Black Sea stakeholders can benefit from. It is true that together with the countries that are involved in these regional cooperation frameworks, together with the stakeholders, together with the key players like Blue Connect Project, Bridge and DOORS, we need to cooperate and to liaise in order to be able to implement synergies also in terms of financial opportunities, in order to build on that, in order to scale up these financial opportunities and to avoid fragmentation. Voila, so this is the input that I wanted to provide, and I'm here if you have any question. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Patricia. You mentioned indeed already some important policy aspects, like the European Green Deal that you also explained somehow. Now, to go back to what was actually mentioned in the topic text call for both of these projects, we had there the European Integrated Maritime Policy, the European Marine Strategy Framework Directive, and this is also composed of different descriptors within its elements in relation to what needs to be monitored and which targets you could define for these different descriptors, and then also measures that you could that you need to take basically to keep it all these blue economy activities at a sustainable level. The European Common Fisheries Policy and the EU Neighbourhood Policy, as well as the Bucharest Conventions. Now, these regional sea conventions, like the Bucharest Convention, they actually initiated some of these definitions to see how can you do an activity in a sustainable way. Let's say which limits should we respect and also define. And where the European directives have been very useful for is basically intensifying these first steps taken by the regional sea conventions and intensifying this research on how to define specific targets for sustainability based on scientific evidence. So lifting the descriptive biology and ecology to another level that can be useful and that can be guiding principles for specific activities in the blue economy taking place. But what is very important is that, let's say, this basis, that this scientific basis that is needed, that's about 75% of the work. So combination of basic applied research and then trying to work together with the policy makers to come to commonly defined, that can be also legally binding targets to respect, so that you can be sure that services, biodiversity, etc., can actually be realized. And so I would also like to say that basically in the Black Sea, you have been one of these champions as well. For the Water Framework Directive, it was the Black Sea with Bulgaria and Romania, who were actually the first ones who had a more integrated assessment of eutrophication to deliver in respect to other member states, because they worked very intensively together. And they had an absolutely aligned common assessment method for eutrophication within the Water Framework Directive. So this is also, let's say, can be an inspiration for you in both of these projects to also realize in different directions, like also the innovative species that, the invasive species that were mentioned by the rector. And there are also, let's say, 3 joint actions that have been defined by the Black Sea Connect, with the support of the Black Sea Connect project, in the umbrella of the Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda. One is linked to marine litter in the Black Sea, and the second one is linked on the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the Black Sea ecosystem and its recovery. And the third one is education and the world. So within your different work packages, you could also, let's say, reflect how the specific deliverables of your 2 projects could also contribute to these 3 joint actions, because these 3 joint actions, they have been defined basically during the course of the evaluation of these 2 projects. So they let's say they were developed in parallel, but this does not mean that you could not contribute to them as well.